Hey everyone, this presentation will cover the most commonly used rules of golf that are often seen in a typical round. We are the New Hampshire Golf Association and are the main resource for anything golf in the Granite State. We can be reached in multiple different ways via email, social media, or by calling the office. The first rule that we're going to cover today talks about the course and the different areas of the course. It is important to know the area of the course where your ball lies, because where it lies can affect the options you have playing your golf ball. There are five defined areas of the course. Starting with the general area, the general area covers the entire course except for the four other areas of the course. Special rules are going to apply specifically to the other four areas of the course, and we'll talk about those now. Starting with the teeing area. The teeing area is the area the player must use in starting the hole that he or she is playing. The teeing area is just the small rectangle formed by the tee markers and the two club lengths of depth behind them. The rest of the mode area used for teeing outside the yellow rectangle is part of the general area for players playing from this teeing area. All other rectangles on this hole and all of the rectangles on the other holes are part of the general area while the player is playing this hole. The next area of the course that we are going to discuss are the bunkers. A bunker, by definition, is a specially prepared area of sand, which is often a hollow from which turf or soil was removed. These are not part of a bunker. A lip or wall or face at the edge of a prepared area and consisting of soil, grass, stacked turf, or artificial materials. Any soil that is inside the edge of a prepared area, any growing or attached natural object inside the edge of a prepared area, such as grass, bushes, or trees, any sand that has spilled over or is outside the edge of the prepared area, and all other areas of sand on the course that are not inside the edge of a prepared area, such as deserts and other natural sand areas, or sometimes referred to as waste areas. The next area of the course that we are going to talk about are the penalty areas. There are two different types of penalty areas, distinguished by the color used to mark them. We have red and yellow. Starting with the yellow. Yellow penalty areas are going to be marked with yellow lines or yellow stakes, and they give the player two relief options. With the red penalty areas marked with red lines or red stakes, they give the player an extra lateral relief option, in addition to the two relief options available for the yellow penalty areas. If the color of the penalty area has not been marked or indicated by the committee, it is treated as a red penalty area automatically. The edge of a penalty area should be defined by stakes, lines, or physical features. When defined by stakes, the edge of the penalty area is defined by the line between the outside points of the stakes at ground level, and the stakes themselves are inside of the penalty area. When defined by painted lines on the ground, the edge of the penalty area is the outside edge of the line, and the line itself is inside of the penalty area. When physical features are used to define the edge, such as a beach or desert area or a retaining wall, the committee should say how the edge of the penalty area is defined. When the edge of a penalty area is defined by lines or physical features, stakes can be used to show where the penalty area is, but they have no other meaning other than to say the penalty area is here. When the edge of a body of water is not defined by the committee, The edge of that penalty area is defined by its natural boundaries. That is where the ground starts to slope down to form the depression that can hold water. The last defined area of the course we're going to talk about is the putting green of the hole the player is playing. Note the importance of the hole being played. In play of this hole, all other putting greens on the course, including practice greens, are part of the general area. The special putting green rules and privileges apply only when the player's ball is on the putting green of the hole the player is playing. The putting green, by definition, is the area on the hole the player is playing that is specially prepared for putting, or the committee has defined as the putting green when temporary greens need to be used. The putting green for a hole contains the hole into which the player tries to play the golf ball. The putting greens for all other holes, which the player is not playing at the time, are wrong greens and part of the general area. The edge of the putting green is defined by where it can be seen that the specially prepared area starts, such as where the grass has been distinctly cut to show the edge, unless the committee defines the edge using a different way, sometimes using dots or lines. The next rule we're going to discuss is Rule 14.3, dropping a ball in a relief area. With the dropping procedures, dropping a ball must be done in the right way. To drop the ball in the right way, a player must drop at knee height straight down so there's no throwing, spinning, or rolling of the golf ball. The ball must not hit the player or the player's equipment before touching the relief area, and the ball must hit inside the relief area.
When dropping your ball under the new rules, the likelihood you will need only one drop will increase, while the randomness of your resulting lie will be preserved. The procedure is simple. Hold the ball at knee height, let go of it so it falls straight down, and make sure that it lands and comes to rest in the relief area. Don't throw, roll, or spin the ball, and don't let it hit you as it falls.
When talking about dropping procedures, the wording club length is always used. A club length is measured by a player's longest club and cannot be the putter. Dropping procedures also will always include a reference point, which is the starting point for measuring the relief area, and the relief area itself, where the ball must be dropped and come to rest. This is a list of the more commonly used reference point. The nearest point of complete relief is used in most free relief procedures, ground under repair, cart paths, and temporary water. The point the original ball last crossed the edge of a penalty area is used for lateral penalty area relief. Point selected by the player on the reference line is primarily used in back on the line from penalty areas or unplayable balls. The spot where the previous stroke was made is used primarily for stroke and distance relief. The point immediately behind where a ball is embedded is used in getting relief for embedded balls. When it comes to unplayable balls, the reference point is always going to be the spot of the original ball. Relief areas are all going to be measured one club length from the reference point, except for lateral relief, which is going to use two club lengths. This is for penalty areas and unplayable balls. The relief area must not be nearer the hole than the reference point.
In the 2019 rules, when dropping and taking free relief or penalty relief, your ball must be dropped in the defined relief area, and it must come to rest in there too. Most of the time, with the knee-height dropping procedure, that will happen on your first drop. When it doesn't, drop a second time. If that drop doesn't stay within the relief area either, place a ball where your second drop first touched the ground.
A player must drop the ball in the right way. When it is not dropped in the right way, the player must drop the ball again. The amount of wrong way drops a player gets is unlimited. This means if the ball is not from knee height, it hits the player or the player's equipment before hitting the ground, or does not hit the relief area when dropped. All drops are going to allow the original ball or another ball to be used in free relief and penalty relief.
When the 2019 rules let you lift your ball to take relief instead of playing it as it lies, you will be allowed to either use your original ball or substitute and use a different ball. In the 2019 rules, you are allowed to substitute a ball when taking free relief, as well as when taking penalty relief. This player is substituting a ball when taking free relief from a cart path.
The nearest point of complete relief is the reference point for taking free relief from an abnormal course condition, a dangerous animal condition, a wrong green, a no play zone, or in taking relief under certain local rules. It is the estimated point where the ball would lie that is nearest the ball's original spot, but not nearer the hole than that spot, and it's in the required area of the course, where the condition does not interfere with the stroke the player would have made from the original spot if the condition were not
The
there.
nearest point of relief is the spot the shortest distance away from where your ball lies, either left of, right of, or behind it, that isn't closer to the hole, and where, if your ball was there, you could make a stroke at it without any interference to your resulting lie, stance, and swing.
Estimating this reference point requires the player to identify the choice of club, stance, swing, and line of play that he or she would have used for that stroke. The player does not need to simulate that stroke by taking an actual stance and swinging the chosen club, but it's recommended that the player normally does this and help making an accurate decision and estimate. The nearest point of complete relief relates solely to the particular condition from which relief is being taken, and it may be in a location where there is interference by something else.
The nearest point isn't always the nicest point. In this case, the player's nearest point of complete relief from this path is under the tree, not to the left of the path in the clear. So, it's a good idea not to lift your ball before figuring this out, because sometimes the best option is to just play the ball as it lies.
Rules 15 and 16 are going to cover the different types of free relief you can get out on the golf course. By definition, loose impediments are unattached natural objects. This includes things like stones, loose grass, leaves, branches, sticks, dead animals, and animal waste. Worms, insects, and similar animals that can be easily removed, and the mounds and webs that they build. It is not considered loose, and you're not going to get relief if the object is attached, growing, solidly embedded in the ground, meaning it cannot be easily picked out, or sticking on the ball. Some special cases that are not considered loose impediments: sand, loose soil, dew, frost, or water. There is a special case where the player gets to decide. Snow and natural ice, other than frost, can either be considered a loose impediment or temporary water when on the ground. Spider webs are going to be considered loose impediments even though they are attached to another object. Removing loose impediments may be removed anywhere, on or off the course, in any way. There are two exceptions. No removing loose impediments where a ball must be replaced. This also applies when play is stopped and does not apply on the putting green. The second exception is no deliberately removing loose impediments to affect a ball in motion. If a ball moved when removing a loose impediment, the ball must be replaced. You do get one penalty stroke when the ball is in the general area, the bunker, or a penalty area. There are exceptions where there is no penalty if the ball is moved when removing a loose impediment on the putting green, teeing area, during a surge, or other exceptions under Rule 9.4b. For movable obstruction relief, a ball may be moved without penalty and anywhere on or off the course. There are two exceptions. Tee markers, when the ball is in the teeing area, cannot be moved, and obstructions cannot be moved deliberately to affect a ball in motion. When taking movable obstruction relief, if the ball moves, there is no penalty, and you must replace it on the original spot. If the original spot is not known, you must estimate the spot and replace it on that spot. For a ball that is in or on an obstruction, except for the putting green, you're going to lift the ball and the obstruction, drop the original or another ball. When dropping, we are going to refer back to the reference point. The reference point is going to be the estimated point under where the ball was. And the relief area is going to be 1 club length in the same area of the course as the reference point and not near the hole. For a ball that is in or on an obstruction on the putting green, you're going to lift the ball and the obstruction. We're going to place the original ball or another ball right under where the ball was originally located. Relief for a ball not found inside an movable obstruction, you must have knowledge or virtual certainty to be able to take relief. The reference point is going to be the estimated point under where the ball last crossed the outer edge on the course, and you're going to build your relief area using 1 club length that is described in the other rules of golf. Without that knowledge or virtual certainty, relief is not going to be allowed, and stroke and distance is going to be required if the ball is not found. Now we're going to go over a ball helping play. A good example is a ball serving as a possible backstop. This applies only to balls on the putting green. If it is your ball, you may mark and lift it, but if it is another player's ball, you or any other player can require that ball to be lifted. In stroke play, if 2 or more players agree to leave the helping ball in place and the stroke is made, the agreeing players will get the general penalty. In stroke play, the general penalty is 2 penalty strokes. The player required to lift may play first. In match play, however, the opponents may agree to leave the helping ball in place. The meaning of interference. Interference might interfere with stance, swing, or a reasonable chance that a ball after a stroke could hit a ball at rest, or close enough to distract a player making a stroke. The procedure for this is that the player next to play can require the interfering ball to be marked and lifted. In stroke play, interfering ball might be played first. Player of interfering ball cannot lift without being asked except on the putting green. The penalty for lifting a ball when not asked except on the putting green is going to be 1 stroke, and the ball may not be cleaned except for on the putting green. If a ball marker is helping or interfering with play, if it is your ball marker, you can move it out of the way. If it belongs to another player, you can require them to move it. When dealing with abnormal course conditions, relief is going to be allowed if the ball is touching, the ball is in or on the abnormal course condition, the intended stance has interference, or the intended swing has interference. The line of play is only going to matter on the putting green. Distraction alone is not interference. Relief is going to be allowed anywhere from abnormal course conditions with 3 exceptions. If the ball is in a penalty area, the abnormal course condition is not on the course, and when it is clearly unreasonable to make a stroke or the playing choice. The abnormal course condition is in the general area. The reference point is going to be the nearest complete point of relief in the general area. The relief area is going to be 1 club length in the general area and not nearer the hole than the reference point. And the player must take complete relief. If the ball is in a bunker and there is an abnormal course condition, free relief requires the reference point to be the nearest point of complete relief inside the bunker. The relief area is going to be 1 club length inside the bunker and not nearer the hole than the reference point, and the player is going to need to take complete relief if possible. If complete relief is not possible, the player will be taking maximum relief. If there is an abnormal course condition in the bunker, the player is going to have the option to come outside of the bunker for 1 penalty stroke. They are going to use back on the line relief and move the ball outside of the bunker onto any part of the course. The player must then drop the ball on the line. If there is an abnormal course condition on the putting green, the relief procedure is the nearest point of complete relief. The player is going to place the original or another ball on that spot, and it must be on the putting green or in the general area. If no complete relief is available, players are going to need to use maximum available relief as the reference point, and it must be on the putting green or in the general area. If a ball is not found within an abnormal course condition with knowledge or virtual certainty, the starting point is going to be the estimated point where the ball last crossed the outer edge on the course. The reference point for taking relief is going to be the nearest point of complete relief from the starting point. The relief area is going to most likely be 1 club length. If you do not have knowledge or virtual certainty when a ball is lost inside of an abnormal course condition, relief is not going to be allowed. Stroke and distance is required if the ball is We're going to talk about embedded golf balls and free relief. The meaning of embedded means that a ball is in its own pitch mark as a result of the previous stroke, and part of the ball is below the surface of the ground. A ball is not considered to be embedded if it has been stepped on or run over by a cart, driven into the ground without becoming airborne, or as a result of dropping the ball. When you can't tell if your ball is in its own pitch mark or another, you may treat the ball as embedded and take relief if it is reasonable to conclude from all available information that the ball is in its own pitch mark. When taking relief from a ball embedded in the general area, we're going to start with the reference point again. The reference point is going to be the spot in the general area right behind where the ball became embedded in the general area. The relief area is going to be 1 club length, not nearer the hole than the reference point, and must stay in the general area. There are going to be 2 exceptions. No relief is going to be given for a ball embedded in sand in part of the general area, not cut to fairway height or less, or if there is interference from something else that makes the stroke clearly unreasonable. When a ball becomes embedded on the putting green, we're going to take free relief by marking and lifting the ball, repairing the ball mark, and replacing the ball back on the repaired original spot. Now we are going to go over the rules that cover penalty relief. For a ball in the penalty area. A ball is going to be considered inside the penalty area when any part of the ball lies in or touches the ground or anything else inside the penalty area. It is also going to be considered inside when it is above the edge or any other part of the penalty area. The player at that point may always play the ball as it lies if they can, or under the rules, they can take penalty relief and take the ball outside of the penalty area. Relief options for a ball not found but inside the penalty area. If a player's ball has not been found and it is known or virtually certain that the ball came to rest inside the penalty area, the player may then take penalty relief under Rule 17.1d or 17.2. But once the player puts another ball in play, the original ball is no longer in play and must not be played anymore. The first relief option for a ball in a penalty area that we're going to talk about is stroke and distance relief. A player may play from where the previous stroke was made. The second option is back on the line relief. The player must drop on the line going straight back from the hole through the estimated point where the original ball last crossed the edge of a penalty area. The relief area is going to be 1 club length in any direction and any area of the course except for the same penalty area that we're taking relief from.
The rules of golf are changing in 2023. The back on the line relief procedure has been simplified, and here's what it looks like. So to use a penalty area as an example, I'm going to keep the point where the ball last crossed between the hole and where I want to drop it. I can go back as far as I want on the line, but I have to drop it on the line because that's what activates this relief option. If I don't drop it on the line, I'll be dropping in a wrong way. The relief area won't get created, and I'll have to correct my mistake by dropping it again, but in the right way on the line. But once dropped on the line, the ball can roll up to 1 club length in any direction, even if it rolls forward and closer to the hole. Back on the line is a great relief option for penalty areas, but you can also use it when you decide that your ball is unplayable.
With back on the line relief, the player may drop the original ball or another ball side of the penalty area, keeping the estimated point where the original ball last crossed the edge of the penalty area. Between the hole and the spot where the ball is dropped, with no limit as to how far back the ball may be dropped. Spot on the line where the player's ball first touches the ground when dropped will create the relief area that is 1 club length in any direction from that point. There are some limits on the relief area. It must not be nearer the hole than the estimated point where the original ball last crossed the edge of the penalty area. And it may be in any area of the course except for the same penalty area. but it must be in the same area of the course that the ball first touched when dropped. The previous two relief options are going to be available for both red and yellow penalty areas. This lateral relief option that we're going to talk about next is going to only be for red penalty areas. The reference point for lateral relief is estimated point where the original ball last crossed the edge of the red penalty area. The relief area for this one is going to be 2 club lengths, not nearer the hole than the reference point, and in any area of the course except for the same penalty area. When the ball last crossed the edge of a red penalty area, the player is going to be able to drop the original ball or another ball in the lateral relief area. The reference point is going to be the estimated point where the original ball last crossed the edge of the red penalty area. The size of the relief area measured from the reference point is going to be 2 club lengths, but it does have some limits. It must not be nearer the hole than the reference point and may be in any area of the course except for the same penalty area. But if one or more areas of the course is located within the 2 club lengths of the reference point, the ball must come to rest in the relief area in the same area of the course that the ball first touched when dropped inside the relief area. The player may stand in a penalty area to play a ball that is outside of the penalty area, including after taking relief from the penalty area. Penalty for playing a ball from a wrong place in breach of Rule 17.1 is going to be the general penalty. This means that it's going to be 2 strokes. When a player's ball is located inside of the penalty area, there is no relief for interference by an abnormal course condition, an embedded ball, or an unplayable ball. The player's only option is going to be to take penalty relief. Next, we are going to talk about Rule 18, stroke and distance, ball lost or out of bounds, and provisional balls. When we define the word lost in golf, it means that a player or the player's partner or partner's caddy has 3 minutes to search for the ball. If the search begins and is then temporarily interrupted for a good reason, the time between the interruption and when the search resumes does not count. When we defined what out of bounds means, it is all areas outside of the boundary edge of the course as defined by the committee. All areas inside that edge are in bounds. The boundary edge of the course extends both up above the ground and down below the ground. When defined by stakes or a fence, the boundary edge is defined by the line between the course side points of the stakes or fence posts at ground level, and those stakes or fence posts are out of bounds. When defined by a painted line on the ground, the boundary edge is the course side edge of the line, and the line itself is out of bounds. Relief under penalty of stroke and distance is going to be allowed at any time. At any time, a player can take stroke and distance by adding 1 penalty stroke and playing the original ball or another ball from where the previous stroke was made. For balls lost or out of bounds, stroke and distance relief must be taken. For lost balls, if a ball is found within 3 minutes but it is uncertain whether it is the player's ball, the player must promptly attempt to identify the ball and is allowed a reasonable time to do so, up to 1 minute, even if that happens after the 3-minute search time has ended. For a ball out of bounds, a ball at rest is out of bounds only when all of it's outside the boundary edge of the course. When a ball is in bounds, a player may stand out of bounds to play a ball that is on the course. If a ball is lost or out of bounds, the player must take stroke and distance relief, but there is an exception. The exception is when a player may substitute another ball under the rule when it is known or virtually certain what happened to the ball, And an example would be when a spectator grabs your ball from the fairway and drops it out of bounds near the snack shack. If a ball may be lost outside of the penalty area or be out of bounds, to save time, the player may play another ball provisionally under the penalty of stroke and distance. The player must announce that he or she is going to play the provisional ball, and the player must use the word provisional or clearly indicate that he or she is playing under the provisional ball rule. Playing a provisional ball until it becomes the ball in play or is abandoned. A player is allowed to play the provisional ball more than once. The player may continue to play the provisional ball so long as it is played from a spot the same distance or further from the hole than where the original ball is estimated to be. When the provisional ball becomes the ball in play happens when the original ball is lost anywhere on the course except the penalty area or is out of bounds. When the provisional ball is played from a spot nearer the hole than the original ball is estimated to be. Rule 19 is going to talk about unplayable balls and the options you have for taking relief. The player may decide to take an unplayable ball relief anywhere except for in the penalty area. The player is the only person who may decide to treat his or her ball as unplayable. Unplayable ball relief is allowed anywhere on the course except for in the penalty area. Relief options for the general area or putting green. We have stroke and distance. The player may play from where the previous stroke was made. We also have back on the line relief. The player may drop on the line going straight back from the hole through the spot of the original ball. The relief area for back on the line is going to be 1 club length in any direction and any area of the course. For lateral relief, the reference point is going to be the spot of the original ball. The relief area is going to be 2 club lengths, not nearer the hole than the reference point, and in any area of the course. If there is an unplayable ball in a bunker, the same relief options are going to exist, except if a player takes back on the line or lateral relief, the ball must stay inside the bunker. However, there is going to be an extra relief option for a total of 2 penalty strokes. The player may take back on the line relief outside of the bunker. Thank you for joining our Rules of Golf presentation. If you have any questions regarding the rules of golf, please reach out to the New Hampshire Golf Association, and we are more than happy to help you out.